In this video, Robin and I will tell you 5 incredible facts about the new Atelier Wen Ancestra.
Let's go!
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Time+Tide London Watch Discovery Studio. We're live here on the ground, there's customers in the background, and this is Robin, the founder of Atelier Wen.
Hi everyone. Hi Andrew. Thanks a lot for having me here today in London.
Today, it is a beautiful day, and I have some warm summer good news. There is a new Atelier Wen on the block, and it is not what you might associate with the brand. The perception was a real breakthrough hit for you, Robin.
Yeah.
And yet, we're going to round town here. What's happening?
No, it's a very new, it's a very different watch. You know, it's the first watch we released in more than 3 years after Perception. It's super significant for us because I think it opens the brand to a new design category. It's obviously a 38mm dress watch, so super different from integrated bracelet. It's also a watch that's really meaningful to us because we really see it as a sort of like significant milestone for the brand. It's a watch that is way more ambitious in its execution, and that I feel will really enable us to, you know, kind of go to making watches that really embody that vision that we have, which is celebrating Chinese culture and craftsmanship.
Now, what I do know about Robin, after knowing you for several years, is that you think things through very deeply. And when I held this watch, I knew that if you've been sitting on this for 3 years, there are going to be lots of touches and lots of incredibly nuanced, thoughtful details. I've actually picked out my 5 favorite facts about this watch that I think you should know. As I say them, tell me about them, because I still don't have the depth of knowledge. It's just my eye that has gone, interesting fact, let me ask more.
All right.
Number 1, this dial. This dial is absolutely wild. It appears to be hand-hammered.
It is.
Hammered, but then there's some sort of like a fume effect on top. Is that? Tell me more about it. Is it enamel? What is it?
No. I actually so this is a dial with 2 crafts. You had hand hammering, as you saw, and then there's grand fur enamel. And with the enamel, we actually worked with the workshop of a person named Master Kong in Beijing. In 2021, he was named the best enameler in the whole of China. And we worked on making a very wide blue fume effect in which the gradient has what is most likely the widest chromatic range that has ever been done with this kind of dials. And I mean, you can see in the center, it's like silver. On the edges, it gets towards like very dark blue, almost black. And this is insanely hard to make because number 1, you need to have all the shades. And number 2 as well, you need to ensure that each shade will more or less take the same real estate. And enamel is a very like organic material. You put it in the kiln, sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't work. Each dial is effectively unique. And honestly, this has been a huge struggle for us. I mean, we've been working with Master Kong for like almost 2 years on doing this, sort of like finally happy to be showing this. But even like within that, you know, so this is a good dial, but I make 4 dials, 4 of them will be different. And we will put the same amount of enamel, we'll put them the same number of times in the kiln, the same temperature, and you don't know why, they will be widely different, and you'll have 1 of them which looks good, and 3 of them which are completely out of the range, where like 50% of the dial is silver, and then you have a tiny bit of blue.
So to future buyers of the Ancestra, I know what you're going to do. You're going to spot another Ancestra wearer across the room, and you're going to run over and compare your fume patterns. Another little detail that I love about grand fur enamel is that you have to put it back in the kiln several times, and each time as a bubble rises, because I've seen defective grand fur enamel dials where the bubble is still visible, but you have to go and pop them all in each
you
phase.
need to poke them after each firing. So first of all, they make the enamel mix themselves. So you know they even have the raw stones and whatnot that they grind. They make the enamel mix. You put it in the kiln, you polish, and then you poke the bubble, and you repeat. You put again enamel, again in the kiln, poke the bubbles. But the issue is that you can easily break the dial this way. So, and I mean, obviously, like an enamel dial with crack, well, it goes to the bin, not to the case. So it's really, I mean, it's a process that is meant to fail. I mean, if I were being honest, it's pretty tough.
The other dial elements that stand out to me straight away, we have diamond indices.
The idea there was like not to use diamonds for the bling, but more like as a kind of like alternative material for applying indexes. And what we really like is that, I mean, enamel in a sense is some kind of glass. It's a very complex glass to make, but it's glass. Diamonds are also some kind of glass. And we really like this sort of like whole play on transparency and how light would be diffused through those different surfaces. So that's why we use those baguette cut diamonds for the indexes, yeah.
Now these are lab-cut baguette diamonds that are an FL level.
Exactly, so they will be like
no
perfectly flawless, transparent, and the whole like diffusion and diffraction of light will be really interesting. And I think, you know, that will make it a watch that is very dynamic when you wear it, and hopefully they will therefore remain interesting. Goal is not to just make it look nice in some kind of pictures and then boring as hell on the wrist, but it's really meant to be one, like you go in the sun, it looks different, you go in the dark, it looks different.
Now, the last style element we notice here are these Chinese characters.
Yeah.
I haven't seen this font before. How are these applied?
Yeah, so we wanted to go a bit further, you know, in like sort of the artistic value we could deliver with this watch. I love the idea of having Chinese characters on the dial. I've seen quite a few brands try it, but usually they use a very horrible font for Chinese characters. It's like the Comic Sans MS of like Chinese characters. So instead we decided to work with an actual calligrapher, and we gave her a brief, which I thought was very fun, which is what if Breguet was actually a Chinese man? What would the Breguet Chinese characters be like? And she came up with those very cursive, very sort of like grand and elegant characters that I feel like do fit the ethos fairly well. And to us, I mean, Wilfried and I, we sort of like think calligraphy is obviously a very interesting art, and you know, through that, the hope is that we can convey a bit the interest and the passion for it.
Now these are printed, but they look very sparkly and interesting.
Yeah, so many layers of printing. There's like 5 to 7 of them just to make them like very 3D. And again, sometimes it fails, and to the bin.
Into the bin, wow.
Always.
The attrition. Now, in all honesty, the first thing I noticed about this watch, and that to me elevated it above a dull round watch, are the lugs. We have what I would call bowed single piece lugs. So this is in fact, this whole lug structure is one single piece that is then screwed to the case at either side, which is a really different way to do lugs.
There's many reasons why this watch took a long time, but this was one of the key reasons why it took so long. I like making unique watches. I don't want to make stuff that others do. And so when we decided early on to go to a dressy watch, we're like, okay, we need to make a dressy watch, but we need to make it unique. And it turns out it is super complex, because a dressy watch, more often than not, is just like a circular piece of metal. There's no bracelet, and there's no like 50,000 ways you can make a circle. So poor Alfred, our designer, was tasked with finding a way to make a unique circle, but that also doesn't look weird. And one day he found those very ancient Chinese jade carvings, which dates back to the Hongshan era. It's like Neolithic era. And basically those carvings, they looked exactly like our lugs, and they were meant to represent dragon. And actually those were the first times the concept of a dragon was invented. And we thought, well, you know, it's kind of pretty fun. We could make lugs like that, so we decided to do it. But besides, you know, the look, there's also an obvious sort of like benefit to it, which is that we can finish the lugs separately, and therefore we can have very contrasting finishes like on the case, which we would not have been able to achieve had this been like just a one-piece case. So it also makes it more interesting. You can see it's like super polished on the tip, and then you have this very light satin brushing on like the bit like fat pebbly middle case, and you wouldn't be able to do that if it was one piece. So yeah.
Now let's flip it over, because things get interesting here. Yeah. I expected to see a Chinese-made movement, because that was very much a part of the brand in the beginning.
We decided to make things evolve a bit. Like as a brand, we always listen to what the collectors want. And one thing that we saw is that, well, you know, like people, they said they wanted more accurate movements, they wanted more power reserve, they wanted a lot of features that we tried to develop in China, and that in the end we couldn't. We therefore, like for the movement, went out of China. We went to France. We approached Pekinier, which is like the last and only French movement maker. And it's a very cool movement. It's like 65-hour power reserve, chronometer accuracy. You know, we have have a testing observatory in France, and it's according to those standards. It winds very efficiently, like in 2 hours of wearing, then the power reserve is full. It hacks and stuff, so that's pretty good. But obviously we wanted to stay true to who we are, so we worked extensively on customizing it from a finishing angle. And what we did is that on the main plate, we laser etch in 3D 446 Chinese characters, which are an extract from a very old piece of poetry called The Heavenly Questions, which is 2,200 years old. And it's basically a guy who is like wondering about the meaning of life. What we thought was very interesting was that those are still questions that we ask ourselves today and that we still don't have answers to. So we really like the concept, the idea of having this kind of connections through time, through the movement.
Man, this guy does not take a breath. There was going to be a question from me about these very fine markings on the movement plate, which to me just look like a decoration, but that's my eyesight, I guess, with a loop. And
we will be giving actually a loop, and there will be like on the booklet like a transcription of like exactly what it is in Chinese, and then like the translation, so people will be able, you know, like to see like the whole like markings. There's other cool stuff in the movement. I mean, the escapement bridge, the ratchet return wheel, they are black polished by hand, so they're like super flat and then polished, and they're really like mirrors. You have anklage, you have pelage. Even on the rotor, you know, we went for like snailing, and then we have like frosting in the recesses. So
look, there it is. I don't need to say anything. This is exactly the level of detail and the level of care that you expect from a brand that is making their way in the early chapters of their career. I feel like you should just breathe out now.
Yeah,
because
okay.
that was express, but it was great because we have many, many reasons why the Atelier Wen Ancestra should be on your radar. And I can tell you, it is a watch to be appreciated in the hand. Right now, it is a beautiful sunny day. I take this into any lit environment and you're getting this incredible lucidity through the diamonds. You're getting the particular unique pattern on the dial. This is what we love watches for. It's all those little things. Robin, thank you very much.
Thank you so much.